Hey everyone, and welcome to the video. So today's video is going to be the detail or the paint correction for the Audi A3 that I teased recently on the community tab. And this vehicle basically has been quite satisfying in terms of the result that we managed to achieve. You'll see this from all the videos that I'll actually be inserting. Unfortunately, with this particular one, because we were kind of rushing in terms of starting the job, we didn't really get any before photos or videos showing just how bad the condition was. This is possibly one of the worst cars I've worked on in terms of contamination from on a vehicle that is otherwise in pretty decent condition. So I've worked on really bad vehicles in the past, really old cars. This car is a 14 plate, so it's not particularly old, and it's had quite a lot of paintwork done in the past as well. And with that, I would have thought and I would have assumed that the general sort of condition of it would be a lot better. I mean, as you can see from these videos, these shots here, this is a small section that I did the first cutting stage on. And as you can see, so as you go on to the other panel, you get the normal sort of swirls and hazing. But the whole side, and this is both sides of the car, it'd been in for some paintwork, both the front, the back, the wing, all sorts of little jobs. And the only thing I can guess is that it's been sat in a body shop for quite some time, because the whole car virtually was covered in overspray. It was heavily marred, as you can see from that shot there. This isn't, we did clay the car, so my nephew was the one who actually clayed it, so possibly he did inflict a little bit of this marring that's actually showing, but most of this was actually there, if not more, because the claying stage actually took quite a lot of the roughness away from the paint. So even this reflection that you're seeing right now, obviously there's a little bit of oils and stuff there from some of the polishing process. But even this sort of really matte finish that you're seeing is actually as a result of having removed quite a lot of contaminants by claying it. In this shot, I was literally just trying to explain to my nephew what the process is in terms of what we're looking for. So with this, obviously, using the camera flash, you can use the little dot to try and see how many imperfections you've managed to cut out during the cutting stage, and then obviously there's certain sections that need to be done by hand. As you could see there's quite a deep scratch. The whole car's, pretty much every panel's got little defects on it. The whole idea with this particular detail was literally just to get it through winter, and then summertime we're probably, well, the vehicle will be getting some work done. And then we'll probably hit this whole car again. Hopefully with the sides there won't be too much damage, so we'll be able to just do a few refining passes. But with the roof, the bonnet and the boot, we will need to be doing a lot more cutting. The bonnet we did cut not too much, literally just to get rid of the main haze. The main idea with this one was the sides were just so bad that every time you wash the car, it just looked it looked more dirty. That's the words my nephew actually used. So the idea was literally get it to a stage where we can at least have it presentable, and then summertime we'll hit this properly and actually get a proper ceramic coating on it. With obviously the time of the year here in the UK, working outdoors, which isn't ideal in the first place, but working outdoors in this type of weather was almost impossible. Like in total this took 5 days, but that was only maximum 3 to 4 hours per day, because we kept getting restricted by the weather essentially. Some days it was so cold that the cutting compounds were just struggling to actually activate. Other days, as with this particular day, it was really hot out of nowhere. So we actually ended up in a situation where we were finding that the all the compounds, the cutting compound and all the refining compounds were actually burning off a lot faster. So it was constantly having to adjust techniques, and then obviously you have the wasted time of having to wipe panels down and clean everything again. These shots hopefully should show some of the satisfying results that you do get at the end of this. So in terms of equipment and everything like that, so this is literally just a polisher, dual action polisher that I bought quite a few years ago, and I've just been using it on friends and family's vehicles here and there. The last vehicle we did was probably my own, and that was a fair few years ago now, so I was firstly just happy that the polisher was actually still working. In terms of pads, I did actually purchase a few new microfiber pads. The Maguire's microfibers are my go-to when it comes to cutting. I just prefer the feel that they give. Some of the foam pads, I did have the Scholl spider pad, the one with the slits in it, and I just don't like the way you don't get any feedback in terms of the pad, whereas with microfiber it's hard to describe. Anybody who's actually done some polishing, they might be able to get a better understanding in terms of what I'm talking about, but the microfiber gives you a little bit more feel. The pad I had was probably too big for the backing plate I had on there, but we made it work. And with this particular car, there's so many creases in the paint, so many inverted lines and sharp edges that it's very difficult to actually get in close. So hopefully next summer when we do actually hit this again, in order to do a proper job, what we'll need to do is ideally get something like the Rupes detailer, where you have a really small 2-inch or 3-inch pad, possibly a rotary where you can actually keep it more refined rather than having the dual action, which tends to spin off more. But basically just hit it again, get all the finer details. But at this stage, because even though from all of these shots it looks really glossy and beautiful essentially, but there's still a lot of defects, a lot of scratches, a lot of dents. So obviously I've told my nephew, ideally firstly what you want to do is PDR, paintless dent removal. So anywhere where you don't need to get the car painted, obviously get that done. That's my motto with all cars, my own car included, where my car does need some work. I'd rather just wait and get a PDR guy to actually do all the dents around the car rather than have anybody actually touch the paint. And other than that, basically it's once we've got the whole car sorted, we can then do a proper job. At the moment what we did was we cut 3 stages. So I used the Scholl polishers, so it was S3 gold was the cutting compound, and then S17 with the orange Scholl pad. So the S3 gold was used with the microfibers, Maguire's microfiber cutting pad. The S17 was used with the Scholl orange pad, and then the S30, which is what we went to, we used with the black Scholl polishing pad. I did also have some S40, I just couldn't find where I'd actually put it. But even with the S30, as you can see, having to fight all the elements, fighting all the dust and everything, it still came out beautifully. Like some panels literally look like glass. They're that clear. My nephew described it as a mirror, and essentially a very expensive mirror, but a mirror that still needs a little bit of work, which is why obviously we were not going to do this full vlog. What we did do was, after we'd done all the cutting stages, we did get it pressure washed down. We did that just from one of the car washers, just because generally they have industrial pressure washers, and because of all the dust, and this car has, as I said, it's had a lot of body shop visits, so because of that, a lot of the jams, as you'll see in some of these shots, a lot of the paint, the polish that you see dried in all the creases and all the cracks, that's not actually from this polishing hit, if you like. So most of the residue that you actually see in all the cracks and crevices, most of that's actually from previous body shop visits, and the hope was that basically by taking it to one of the just the car washers, the hand car washers that you see set up all over the place. Their industrial sprayer might be able to get a little bit more of that residue taken care of. Initially, obviously, with car detailing, if you like, the idea is to obviously start with a clean product to begin with. So normally the way I would do it would be to spend maybe the first day, 2 days, literally just cleaning. So get everything as clean as possible. With this particular vehicle, it was a case of we didn't have time to do all of that. We knew the weather forecast. We knew that rain was coming, and also because of my shifts at work, this week essentially I had 3 days off the previous week. So we started this on a Thursday. We did it Thursday. I think we only got maybe 3-4 hours on a Thursday. Friday it was a similar thing. We only got 3-4 hours. We did do Saturday, where I think I started about 11 and we only got through till about 4 o'clock, and then the rain came, and then we didn't do Sunday, and then on Monday was the final day of polishing. Similarly, again, it was after work, so I was actually at work that day. And then the final day was literally just the wash down. So firstly, just get it jet washed down, save us time essentially, and then we just gave it a quick 2 bucket wash method, wiping over each panel as carefully as possible, because this car had extremely soft paint. Even during the polishing stages, we were finding that certain microfibers were still scratching the paint. A lot of that was probably dust and residue blowing around in the air. And as I said, dust control and obviously water control from the rain was one of the biggest things that we actually found were the stumbling blocks. That's what slowed us down the most, and probably dirtied the pads a bit more, resulting in slower cutting times and slower refining times. But yeah, the final day we literally just gave it a quick wash down, and then we coated it using my go-to, which is CarPro Hydro 2. I've been using this on my cars pretty much since I first discovered it, probably around 2013-14. It was something like that back then, maybe even earlier. In fact, it probably would have been sooner, earlier than that, because I was using this on cars I was detailing quite a few years before I bought my current one. And the main reason I like it so much is, yes, it doesn't give you the attributes, the full attributes of a proper ceramic coating, but it's a touchless application. And especially in this sort of scenario where my nephew, he's still pretty new to paint correction, paint detailing, car detailing in itself. So when it comes to wash techniques and things like that, giving him something that is as simple as possible, because there was no point sealing this with a actual ceramic coating. Firstly, because we won't have had the time to actually leave the car outdoors for long enough before it rained and basically ended up ruining the coating. And secondly, because it's going to get paintwork done on it. So once all the paintwork's done and we've fully corrected the car, then at that point we can then put a proper ceramic coating on. It'll probably be one of the ones that's actually meant for the UK, just because of the temperatures that we actually have here. As I say, that's going to be done next summer, so we'll have to wait and see what sort of temperatures we get. This day where this footage is from, the temperature was actually 20 degrees on this day, and previously it had been like 13 and 14 degrees either side of this. So that's British weather for you, where it's so unreliable that you kind of have to just go with what you're given. But yeah, final day was wash down, coat it with CarPro Hydro 2, and he's also purchased, my nephew, obviously this is my nephew's car, so he's also purchased some of my go-to shampoo, which is Built Hambers car shampoo. That hopefully will help prevent any of the panels from getting any worse in terms of anything that's hidden away, in terms of rust and contaminants like that. And he's also purchased a bottle of the Copper Hydro 2. He's bought the light version, which is the pre-mixed version. Yoda's making an appearance there. And hopefully he can keep it maintained as it is in these shots until next summer, where we can do a proper hit at it and just take it a little bit further. Now the thing you have to remember is, obviously we don't know how many stages of paint. Obviously, ideally you'd want paint depth gauge and everything on this to make sure. We'll try not to cut too deep because obviously it's not a new car, so there's going to be well, as you saw from the earlier videos, there are scratches that are way too deep to be able to catch. So a lot of it was a case of where you had to judge when was enough. So when was enough correction, when was enough refining, that is going to tie you over and keep you happy. I mean, I think most people would look at this car in these shots, not so much with the water on, because it's not going to show the gloss quite the same. But most people would look at this car and be over the moon with it, whereas I was still looking at this car and I wasn't quite happy with the outcome. But obviously, time restricted, it's probably a good lesson in terms of if you were to go into business in terms of detailing. Customers aren't going to pay you for unlimited amount of time, and they're not going to pay you for unlimited amount of work. So that this almost becomes like a customer job where we have to cater our expectations in terms of the time that we had and also the weather conditions. All in all, I think most people would agree it's come out quite nicely, and yeah, definitely a satisfying detail.